Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi, hi. Sorry about that. And
That's okay.
yeah,
Can we start?
yeah, we can.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our book talk live session. Today with us we have Lalu Krishnan, sir, author of The Robot Maker. So, talking about the author, he is an IIEST and XIMB alumnus and also e-learning industry leader. He has won a short story contest award for the question of choice. He is also being conferred the title of literary colonel by leading online literary platform. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the gracious introduction.
Sir, can you tell us in brief about your book, that is The Robot Maker?
Sure. Yeah. So, the Robo Maker, that's my debut novel, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the story of one amongst us, uh, an eternal seeker of sorts. His name is Sid, the protagonist.
Yeah.
He's an entrepreneur and who has left a cushy job to seek his dreams, to pursue his dreams. Uh, now, soon reality strikes. His entrepreneurial dream kind of leads him to a tottering marriage, financial insecurity, a narrow escape from death, and 34 days in jail. And then soon after that, one of his colleagues dies, and that leaves him completely shattered. But then he's a seeker, right? So he seeks resurrection from his current status. Uh, so what he does is he goes back and seeks answers from his tragic childhood, his murdered trade unionist father, and transforms himself around his father's ideals. This kind of pushes him through a series of uncertain, intriguing experiences, and this book is all about that. Sid's journey through, uh, this resurrection, uh, seeking his own identity from Siddharth to Sid, back to Siddharth, and back to Sid again. In a nutshell, it's also, I can call it a story about contrasts. There's a lot of contrast in this book, in Sid's journey. The entrepreneur son of a trade unionist father, that's one contrast. Then the contrast of passion and reality. Uh, in relationships, in work, in life, and then the contrast of work and life itself, isn't it? And then, it is about attaining that sweet balance in this battle of contrast. Uh, and that balance is perhaps the most satisfying way to lead life, isn't it? And this book is all
Yeah.
about that.
Okay. That was really interesting. Hope this connects to the readers very well. And
I hope.
also, congratulations on your new book. Hope
Thank
that
you.
will be a best-selling one.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. Hope for that.
Yeah, hopefully it will.
Sure.
And moving on, as I read the blurb of the book, I got to know that there is mixed genres. As you told, there is so much in the book. You told there are contrast themes. So, how
Right.
did you manage to write such an interesting story? There's not one genre or one themed story. Like you take a love story, whole of the thing will be love story, but this book is different. You have something like hope in that, belief, hard work, and a protagonist has followed the footsteps of his father and something related to entrepreneurship. There are so many things to learn from the book. How did you manage to write such an interesting novel, keeping all these things in your mind?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because yeah, you're right. It's always a good idea to stick to a genre you become a bestseller on that genre, and you have a certain set of user base or reader base for a particular genre that you can
Yeah.
connect, so on and so forth. But the when from my perspective as a reader,
Mm-hmm.
whenever I read books, I very often don't have a preference for any particular genre. Uh, I
Okay.
have inspired by short stories of Roald Dahl, Maupassant, uh, and what drew me to those stories were that these were very honest stories of very ordinary people. So, as a new writer, I just wanted to tell an honest story of a set of very ordinary people. Even in my short stories, all of them cut across genres. The life of an ordinary person, I'm sure, is not restricted to any genre. So,
Yeah.
therefore, in my book, as in life, you will find bits of romance, of drama, mystery, action, suspense, all folded into one. Very much like a Bollywood blockbuster. Just kidding. Yeah, but yeah. So that's probably why you should read it. I mean, whoever is watching this. So jokes apart, the underlying theme of the book is that of love, the various shades and nuances of relationships. So if I have to slot it, probably it would be under romance. But yeah, like you said, can't stick to any particular genre. Uh, from what I see and hear after I've took to writing seriously, is that it may take a new writer a couple of attempts, some more interactions with potential readers to find his or her niche and that sweet spot with regard to a genre and a corresponding reader base, if I may call it that way. So I've just taken my first step. I've had to find that sweet spot. Looking forward to that.
That's really nice, sir. And like, what was your first reaction when your book was out? Like,
I
obviously,
was very
everyone will be like excited on one hand, and like we'll be nervous also how audience will receive that. Like, yes. What was your reaction?
I yeah, it was. I was, very honestly, very relieved. It was, I would say, um, a bit of a struggle to get published, and
I understand.
papers really helped me through that journey. So when finally I got published, it was more a sense of relief. Of course, there was excitement, but yes, there was relief, and then a reality check. Yeah, now the next steps. Get that freedom. So yeah, that was the natural transition of my when I heard that I got published.
Yeah. Okay, so how was it working with bookmakers?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, if not for the book bakers, the manuscript of the RoboMaker would probably be lying in some folder in some obscure corner of my laptop. Very, I had a very good experience interacting with Suhail and the others in the Bookmaker team through this journey. Suhail is always very approachable, very friendly, and promptly resolved any queries I had because it was very new to me, this whole experience. Uh, the agency is also helping me promote the book uh,
Yeah,
and through various channels, through various modes like this one. Apart from getting help on the books, I think these interactions with bookmakers and with the bookmakers, writers, authors, have helped me, understand the craft better, the craft of writing better. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, we have a WhatsApp group, that. So I'm passive in that, but I read all the exchanges there, and that really helped me understand, this whole craft a lot better, and also the dynamics of the industry. So I would recommend the book paper for any first time author.
Yeah, definitely. Bookmakers is the best platform I can see. Yeah, moving on, sir. Can you just read a page from your book?
Sure, sure. So
Please
this is
show
my
us the cover, sir. I really love the cover.
thank you. The cover again designed after a lot of deliberation and discussion
Yeah.
papers. Uh, so I'll start with the first page, the first scene, where uh, the protagonist, child, and you know uh, this first scene is what kind of dictates the next few sequences of the book and uh, uh, kind of uh, is the
Yeah.
genesis of thread of events that uh, take the book to the end as well. So the first chapter is called The Night. Okay, I'll start my reading.
Mm-hmm.
One warm, wet July night, the sound of two distant gunshots echoed through the cramped neighborhood of Naya Basti. Soon, the familiar buzz of the 10 p.m. chip alarm of Cranes India Limited submerged the sounds of the rain and sporadic thunder. Besides signaling the shift rotation of the Cranes India factory, the alarm served an unofficial purpose for this Kolkata hamlet. It indicated the start of an hour-long power cut, which topped up the neighborhood's daily quota of 5 hours without power supply. For Siddhartha and his mother, the alarm was the trigger to stop everything else and wait with bated breath over the light of a kerosene lamp for his father to return from work. The relief was profound when they heard that knock on their door. A series of light, evenly spaced taps. One tap every second. Tap, tap, tap. That night too, Siddharth dashed towards the door, excited to answer the knock and welcome his father home. His mother was right behind him, lamp in her hand. The knock came later than usual. In their enthusiasm and the noise of the rain, they did not realize that it sounded a bit different. Siddharth did not see his father when he opened the door. Rather, there were several scary, muddled figures with their fuzzy faces and black umbrellas. The power cut had plunged the neighborhood into darkness. I'll just read another half a page.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting.
There was but a flicker that was dispersed by a distant single bulb lamppost. The flicker and the intermittent flashes of lightning helped Siddharth see through the downpour. He could make out the murky form of a van that stood at the junction, a few tens of meters from the doorstep of their single room rented house. One of the figures, a tall, squint eyed man with a balding pate, stood near the doorstep. He leaned over to his mother and brought his face close to her ear. Shanti Di, Ashu? Her voice trembled. Siddharth's heart was in his mouth. The lamp had just enough light for him to see his mother's curious eyes and parted lips. He hung onto her arm. She stood rigid and pale. What happened? There was a deafening silence for a few seconds. Ashu lowered his eyes. His lips quivered. Shantidi, they killed him. His dark, uneven eyes and wet, shiny head reflected the light of the lamps. He howled. The others joined, shouting, crying, sloganeering. The commotion, combined with the clamor of the rain spattering on the asbestos roof, made for an uneasy, cacophonic. Within minutes, the area was thronged by a sea of noisy, prying individuals. Siddharth was aghast. His mother stood stunned. Agape, they watched his father's body wrapped in a white shroud being taken out from the van. It was escorted by a couple of policemen. The pallbearers moved closer to their home. Siddharth watched his father's lightless head uh, tilted to one side. oscillating through the checkered interplay of torchlight and shadows. The men splashed through the puddles along the way and placed the body on the floor. He touched his father one last time. The body was inert and cold. Through the white diaphanous sheet and dressing, he could make out two reddish spots on his father's chest. Befuddled, he looked at his mother, large, moist eyes full of questions. Ma, his voice cracked. His mother hugged him tight. Be strong, Siddharth. He could feel the wetness of her tears fall on his back. She gave way to them when her eyes met his. He moved his head on her shoulders and closed her eyes. She had to live for him somehow. How? She didn't have an answer to that. That's,
Really interesting one.
that's
The
starting,
plot
and
is really engaging.
so I hope the everyone watching this likes this, and the whole theme
Yes.
of the book is kind of an extension of this starting. I mean, you can see Siddharth's father, his spirit, being kind of guiding him through the book.
Yeah, after listening to your reading, I have a question for you. Who is the favorite character from this book? Your favorite character, and why?
Oh, yeah, very, very interesting question
I know it's
because
very difficult,
all
but
my
you
characters,
have to say one.
yeah, all my characters are very, very dear to me, and I'm sure most of all the readers would find most of the characters very endearing because I've tried my best to keep them as real as possible, as relatable as possible. But if I have to go with one, like you said, I would definitely, I think, probably go with the protagonist himself, Sid, uh, the Robomaker. Life has not been easy, very easy for him ever since childhood, as you see in the first scene. Again, he has a set of vulnerabilities, his shades of gray as he goes through life.
Mhm.
Despite all of that, a few characteristics in him uh, I really admire are one, probably his resilience. That is one characteristic I love about him. Secondly, his hatred for the comfort zone. You know, is kind
Okay.
of complete. I mean, he doesn't like the comfort zone. Wants to move out of it. Wants to transform himself. And as an extension of that, his adaptability. So these are the characters I think that really draw me towards this character, the protagonist. And these characteristics uh, make him a seeker and add color to this otherwise very ordinary person. Like I was telling earlier,
Yeah.
I like to write about ordinary, but these are some characteristics that add color to this ordinary person. And I usually hear and say people telling there's an there's a lot of extraordinariness, if I can call it that, in all of
Yeah,
us, very
ordinary
ordinary.
people, extraordinary lives.
Yeah, that's all. So yeah, that's what I've tried to show through Sid's journey in the Robomaker.
Like it relates to a common reader very well. The protagonist and his journey is so relatable, I can say.
Thank you. I hope
And
mostly that.
yeah. Moving on, is there any real life experience or incident that inspired you to write this book, or you have just taken that incident and molded it into a different shade and written the book?
Yeah, I the since I write about um, um, uh, ordinary people, people I see every day. Um, uh, there is a lot of, not only real life experiences, but manipulations of experiences of people I see
Mm.
every day. A lot of
Yeah, yeah.
that there in the book. For usually for first time authors, that's pretty much the case. That's what people say, and yeah, but I know I might be sounding sleazy, but yeah, there is probably a story in each of us, right? Uh,
Yeah, true.
and therefore, I
There's so
would
much that
deny
happens around us.
that. Yeah, that some portions of the story are indirectly they draw strands of inspirations from real life experiences, not only of mine but also, like I said, people I see every day. uh, for me, the main inspirations to take a story along, whether it be short stories or more short case, a novel, so that stitch a lot of things together and see that it makes sense to readers. uh, they come from, first of all, reading other work, definitely. Experiences and observation of people and incidents around me. Uh, then what I try to do is imagine the what if something happened,
Yeah.
what if happened, and try to stitch it together, twisting and molding these observations and experiences to fit it into a plot and make it interesting. Yeah. So yes, to answer
Yeah.
your question,
Yeah, really
not
nice. Really nice to know.
indirectly with a lot of manipulations. There were
Hmm.
real life inspirations.
Yeah. So, can you just tell us about your childhood, how you got into reading, and what made you start reading or writing?
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, and um, you know, since childhood, I had a fondness of the written word. I used to read.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's nice.
like I said, I don't stick to any genre. I read whatever comes my way. Uh, and I used to write reasonably well. That's what at least my teachers, my friends, all of them said. But through the many years of undivided attention, focus in making a living, the thought of writing seriously, um, it's only about 5 years back, at the very young age of 40, when probably most established authors are thinking about planning their, maybe their 10th bestseller or something. That's when I
Actually,
thought,
age is just a number. Bestseller can come at any age, any point of time.
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so that's when I started writing about 5 years back, and that too,
Hmm.
uh, very much driven by a few things in my workplace. It was around that time that I received feedback that I was losing my personal connect with my team at work. So, I discussed a few things with a few people, my team and all of that. And they said, one of the things that came out was, yeah, you have to write something to the team every now and then from your desk. Okay. So I started sending these fortnightly emails to my team. Uh, and apart from the minimal, very mundane business updates, what I thought is it would be good if my emails contain some random tidbits from my
Hmm.
personal life that fortnight. Okay. Uh, Anecdotes that included amusing but probably a happy anticlimax of, let's say, my daughter's school admission at that time. She got admitted to nursery school. And then, at that time she was 5 years old, and uh, her stress about which of the two boyfriend proposals should I take. I know that was also very amusing. So that was another anecdote. Then the couple of emails chronicled my clumsy goof ups during an intra
Seems that would happen.
baseline that I found out of 35. So all of that. So some of these emails and these emails in general triggered very positive feedback about my style of writing, my style of storytelling. Uh, And I would say that a lot of my the motivation and inspiration behind uh, my very short writing career, if I would uh, just the initial steps, has been influenced by people at work. I work with e-learn. I have most of my career. I have been with e-learning companies, and I work with very creative people. A lot of them are writers themselves, and they have to a large extent influenced my career, so short career, if I would. So that's when I took to writing very seriously and started working on the Robomaker. This because the series of incidents happened. Uh, but then, in uh, along with that, I started writing short stories, and till now, I have written about more than 20 short stories. Uh, some of them I've put up on Bohemian Ruminations. My short
Okay.
stories have received rave reviews. Like you mentioned, the Sparsh Short Story Contest 2018,
Yeah.
uh, and very good reviews by certain. Some stories have received very good reviews by certain publications. So all in all, very good feedback. But more importantly, very endearing and uh, you know generous feedback from a lot of my colleagues who are writers themselves. Uh, Critical feedback, but by and large, very generous. So
Yeah.
all in all, I thought that yeah, I will do good for myself and to my readers, potential readers, if I continue writing and write seriously.
Yeah.
That's the genesis of I started writing Bookmaker, and here I am, this book.
The story was really nice. Yeah, how you started and where you are. It inspires a lot of young writers, I can
Thank
say.
you.
So moving on, can I know who is your best author? If you are to name one or two, your favorite
Uh,
author.
like I mentioned, I like short stories of Roald Dahl, and Mopasa, but I would put Roald Dahl as my favorite
Yeah. And if you want to suggest any three books to your readers, which are those apart from your book?
author. Okay, apart from my book,
Definitely yours
um,
will be the first one. Apart from that,
yeah, I think I've read so many books that probably it would be um, one, of course, a book that sticks in my mind is The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. Uh, uh,
okay.
then uh, George Orwell's 1984. That's another one
Yeah,
that,
that is really a good one to pick up.
yeah, I mean, so futuristic and very unthinkable. How someone could write. And a book that influenced me quite well, and, more of a recency effect because I read that only last year, is The Kite Runner
Mhm.
by Khaled Hosseini. So yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
that is also a wonderful one.
yeah, the theme of family and all of that
Yeah.
is really influenced me in the Robomaker also. In fact, after I read The Kite Runner, I made certain subtle changes to the Robomaker also. Not some inspirations from there.
Yeah, that is nice. And can you just tell what is writing according to you? Like for few, writing is stress buster. For few, writing is like escaping reality. For few, like if they are introvert, it's like expressing themselves. So, what according
Right.
to you is writing?
It's very interesting, and I think again, as much as I may have my fledgling literary ambitions, so far, the story that I told you, how I got into writing and keep writing these days, is so far it has been more of a let out, a therapy of sorts, more of a
Yeah.
let out therapy, a way of creating my own world. Uh, so these are the three, four metaphors that you know uh, descriptions that I would give to writing. But also there would be writing towards the end of some literary ambitions. So that perspective, as in any profession, I believe that as a writer, I need to go through the process to tick the boxes. So I
Yeah,
also
that
see it
will
as a
be important.
uh, continue with the rigor of writing, improve on it, learn
Hmm.
from others, read. So all those are part of the process. And look for now, if you really are serious, I also need to look for ways and means to connect with potential readers and promote my writing.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, literary success, as they call it, probably would be an outcome of some of these, which also I include in this description of writing as an author. So, therefore, I may not want to define writing only as literary success or go after it, but no, I hope to follow this process that I just mentioned, these four few boxes that I have to take with sincerity, enjoy the process, and then graciously accept whatever comes my way. That's there at this point of time.
Yeah, yeah, really nice to know, sir. And can you tell us the difference between author and not an author? Like previously, you were not an author. Now you are a published author. Do you find any
Right.
difference in that? Like how people
So,
look at
as
you,
a,
or the way how your fans, I mean readers, just tell about your book. Do you find anything different there?
as a writer, as a non-author and an author writer,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that extends from my the previous you know uh, answer that I mentioned. Uh, uh, so far, the transition has been natural. You tick the boxes, you keep writing, keep improving. The only thing I feel that when you transition from a writer to an author is the fact that when you write for yourself probably, and
Yeah,
yeah, and try to keep improving, try to experiment, and all of that. And that, so, some answers back, I also talked about the genre and all of that. So,
yeah, yeah.
as an author, probably you need to keep all of that in mind. Try to look at what your reader base is. Try to promote your work in that user base. Try to uh, look at what sells, what doesn't, and all of that. So the marketing angle, the promotion angle would be more when you transition from a writer to an author. But the core is the same. So if I can call it in marketing terms, in the four P's, uh, probably the product P is more what I would focus as a writer, but the other three P's come into the picture when I become an author.
Yeah, a nice one. And it's like earlier when, like you think a reader, they wouldn't recognize you as an author. Now, if they have read your book, they'll be like, okay, he's the author. We need to get the autograph,
I have not thought about all of
autograph
that.
and please.
Yeah,
I mean, presently due to pandemic, it may not be
yeah, I was
possible,
about
but
to tell you
it
that.
will gradually it will.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
And
sure.
moving on, how was it working with Loxley Hall Publications? Share us your experience working with them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what would I say? Very much like what I talked about. So book takers. Again, it's not for
Yeah.
a lot. It's in my laptop. I mean, the manuscript. Uh, so definitely, I would like to thank them, Loxley Hall, for their trust in accepting my book. They have been very supportive so far, and have promptly responded to and addressed any queries or concerns that I had. Uh, and of course, they continue to help me. promoting my book, uh, marketing material, posters, almost every other day. I see a poster of my book on Insta, on Facebook, file of City Hall. Uh, a video trailer is on the cards, launched.
Yeah.
So I think so far the experience has been very good. I was not expecting such a smooth
It
experience.
helps to reach to people.
Yeah, yeah, that's what.
Yeah, that's really nice to know, sir. So now, can we have a quick rapid fire if you are okay with it?
Oh yeah, try. I mean, it's very interesting. Yeah, let's see.
It will be
Yeah,
simple ones only. No need
yeah.
to worry.
Thank you.
Sid or Shreya?
Yeah, I said that earlier that Sid is probably the most
Yeah.
endearing
But
character.
now you are supposed
Yeah,
to
but
choose
since you
anyone.
have juxtaposed it with Shreya, probably it is Shreya because people who would read the book probably would realize that Shreya is probably independent herself, but
Yeah.
I think there may not be a Sid without a Shreya. Sid probably won't be complete without a Shreya. That's what
Yeah,
I
even I like Shreya character a lot, I can say. Like reading the blurb itself, I was like blown by the character.
sure. Thank
It
you.
was so relatable. I like there are so many girls or women's like Shreya.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and
It felt
like I
like a
said,
new
that
story, like the
that
one
is
which is related to me or happening around me. Seeing that
right.
character, I felt that way. Even I like Shreya a lot.
Sure, sure. I
Yeah,
hope.
and the next question is reader or writer, author or reader.
Of course, reader. There's, for an author, if there is no reader, then he need not be an author. Like you said, he can continue to be a writer, not an author.
Yeah.
So, of course, reader. No question.
Okay. Then a night person or a morning person?
Uh, Usually a morning person,
Okay,
but
nice.
this work from home and uh, caused by the pandemic uh, leads me to do a lot of work at night also, including writing. So
Mm.
these days I get up a little late. So uh, usually a morning person, but uh, a COVID-induced night person, I would say. Hope to kind of go
So
back
you
to the morning.
are a mix of both, I can say. Earlier you were a morning person and now you are a night person.
Yeah,
Short
but yeah,
stories or
I was
poetry?
always a morning person.
Mm.
I used to go for runs and all of that early in the morning.
Mm.
That has reduced because of this pandemic. So mix of all of that. Uh, up.
So do you like short stories or poetries? Maybe to write or to read it, maybe both. Do you like short stories or poetries?
Could you just repeat that once again? I think I lost connectivity a bit.
Okay, that's okay. I'll repeat it for you. Do you like short stories or poetries? It may be in the sense of writing or reading.
So if I heard you you were asking whether I like short stories or books, novels.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
poems, poetries.
So yeah, so I like both. I like both, and but probably it's because of the author. I love short stories by Roald Dahl, Mufasa, and O. Henry. These are the three authors I
Yeah, oh,
like,
Andy.
and I like short stories also because it gets over fast, and I can. Uh, so if I have to choose, probably a series of short stories, and but very thin line. I also like reading novels.
Okay. And the next question is stacks of books or binge watching?
Books, definitely. I don't watch too much, but books, definitely books.
That was really nice. You were like quick in this round.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most of them were, yeah, none of them were that borderline, except probably Sid and Shah.
They were easy.
Right.
Yeah, and moving on, if at all this book is adapted to a movie, say a Hindi movie or be it any movie,
So,
what would you title as? Will it be the same or the different one?
uh, yeah, probably, I'm assuming that if it's made into a movie, then the book will be very popular. Probably, I mean, that's the sequence of events. Book becoming popular, and then so probably I would put it the same because it's a very interesting
Yeah,
title. If I may.
yeah,
Um, but I could also uh, keep something like Sid or Siddharth to make it
yeah.
more simple and more intriguing probably. But yeah,
Mm.
the Robo Maker probably I would go with it. Like I said,
Mm.
if it
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
becomes a movie, I think the book would be popular and then it would become a movie. So I'll go with the same title.
And what will be the tagline? If you are to give a tagline, what will be that? It should be a catchy one.
The Seeker.
Nice one, actually. And who do you think does justice to those characters? I mean, which actor or actress?
Yeah,
Just stay for the prominent characters. No, there's no need for all the characters. Just the main leads you can.
sure. Yeah, I mean, if it becomes a movie, I'm assuming it would be set in India because the book is set in India. So
Okay.
if I go with Bollywood, um, the protagonist I would go with Akshay Kumar. He's my
Okay.
favorite, and these days whatever he touches becomes hits. So I would go with him. Wishful thinking, but
Yeah.
yeah, given a choice, I would go with him. And
Mhm.
to a large extent, the uh, Shreya, to a large extent, looks like Tapsi Pannu, doesn't she? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so probably
Self-made.
that combination is something I would. I know. I also would like to see it being made. That's again wishful thinking into a Malayalam movie. Uh,
So
Again,
basically, you're a Malayali.
yeah. And I
Okay,
love
that's
Malayalam.
nice.
Not because of that. Not because I'm a Malayali, but yeah, I love
Yeah.
a lot of Malayalam movies.
Honestly, like Malayalam films are way better than any other. Sorry if I'm just
Yeah.
spamming it. It's
There's
my
a lot of,
personal opinion.
and if I have to, I would go with Fahad Fazil and Amla Paul as the lead pair in that.
Why not Dulquer Salman?
If you see the character of Sid, Dulkar would be more flamboyant and uh, you know
Yeah.
um, a bit too flamboyant for the character of Sid, I think. But Fahad Fazil would be that,
Yeah, he's the best.
and Fahad can
He
mold
nailed
himself
it.
character. That's what I'm probably Fahad.
Yeah. Best choices.
Again, visual thinking.
And can you just give tips to our young authors? Like if they are to get their books published, but they'll have mixed feeling, like how will the readers receive it? What if it's not like best selling one? What if it doesn't reach their like thinking and all? What do you suggest for them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, it's the early days for me. I'm not so sure whether uh, you know, what whether I would be equipped enough to give tips to budding writers. But yeah, using this platform for just telling them to take the plunge. If they feel that they enjoy writing, they write well, keep the belief, take the plunge, keep writing, keep learning, keep reading, keep improving, enjoy the process. Uh,
Yeah.
Getting published will be tough, very tough. That's from my personal experience. It may not be the same with everyone, but from my personal
Yeah.
experience, I think published will be very tough. So don't get disheartened by those rejections. That's the main thing that I would tell them. Very often, it's even I mean, in my journey, I thought, yeah, what is this? I have my career. I'll focus on that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
There will be ups and downs.
yeah, there will be rejections, but yeah, I would also encourage them to look at literary agencies like bookmakers. I mean,
Mm.
that provide a good platform for new authors. Uh, that's how my thing came out. So these are a few things that I would you know at the cost of sounding pompous advise them. That's all.
Yeah, it was really helpful. Hope the budding authors follows all these advices. It will really help them. Like
Sure,
there will be few writers who will not be having any knowledge about the publishing things,
sure,
or like how to just reach out to people, or
sure,
to just put like they will not be in a state to receive the critics, I can say.
sure.
So yeah, your advice is really helpful. Thank you for that,
Thank
sir.
thank you, Bhuvan.
So by this we come to an end of this book discussion. So sir, can you please tell us where all can the readers purchase your book? Like
Sure.
in the online platforms as well as the
Currently, yeah,
offline, if it is.
currently it's on Amazon and Pustak Mandi. These are the two
Okay.
places where you can find my book. And yeah, I look forward to reaching more and more people, receiving feedback that will help me and help me in my first few steps towards literary.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Bhuvaneshri, for providing me with this platform.
Welcome, sir. And so, to all our readers and the audience, please buy the book, The Robot Maker. It's available on Amazon and Pustak Mandi. If you have read that or completed reading, please do provide honest reviews. It will really help a lot.
Sure.
It was
Yeah.
amazing, sir. I like taking an interview, speaking about the book, knowing about yourself. It was really amazing. I had a great evening, I can say.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you so much,
Bhuvaneshri.
sir.
Yeah, thanks for providing me with this platform. It
So,
was
guys, please do buy the book, read it, and share your honest reviews on Amazon as well as with the author. Thank you, everyone.
sure. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.